What's going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and we're going to do another full story video. A full story video is when I take a bunch of videos, combine them together to tell one overarching story. Today, we're going to do that with the Shadowland event. For about almost 2 months, it took us to cover every single thing about Shadowland. Well, almost every single thing about Shadowland. We covered the main storyline and the tie-ins as well. So with that being said, you're going to get a huge video of every single part of the Shadowland event, where we watch Matt Murdock join the Hand, the evil ninja organization, and see how he affects Hell Kitchen and the heroes around him as well. So with that being said, I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And if you do, hit that like button down below and subscribe. But here we go. So with the first chapter of Shadowland, we pick up in, I'm going to mispronounce this, Jigokuchu Castle, where we pick up with the ancient sanctum of the Hand. You have 3 members of the Hand who speak about how they are slowly corrupting Daredevil, that he has returned back to his throne, which is Shadowland, except they state that Daredevil must corrupt himself to complete the transformation. We then pick up in New York, but pick up with Bullseye, who is being transported to prison. Something to point out is that this is after Dark Reign, which is important to mention since Bullseye was in the Dark Avengers. When Norman Osborn took over S.H.I.E.L.D. and replaced it with his own government organization called Hammer, after that Norman Osborn made Hammer. Well, he formed his own Avengers team, the Dark Avengers. When he asked villains to pretend to be different heroes, Bullseye pretended to be Hawkeye. Makes sense with the idea of both of them being great marksmen. After all of that, well, the real Avengers came back. S.H.I.E.L.D. came back as well, and that means everyone had to go back to prison. So, we see Bullseye being transported back to prison, but of course, he tricks the guards like he is dying. Then he kills all of the guards who were transporting him. That then leads into him saying that he should go see his old pal Daredevil in his new land, which is called Shadowland. We finally get a look of Shadowland, which used to be Hell's Kitchen, but it is not called that anymore. Also, we see that in the middle of Shadowland, we see the Shadowland Fortress and some of the characters who are going to be involved in this event. Kingpin, Moon Knight, Punisher, and Spider-Man. Of course, all of these characters have close connections to Daredevil, so it will make sense that they will be there in this big event for Marvel, and there are some other characters as well. Then we pick up with some of the Avengers team. Iron Man, Thor, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the last person is Captain America. Except this is not Steve Rogers. This is Bucky Barnes, who is known as the Winter Soldier. With the aftermath of Civil War, Steve Rogers had died and Bucky Barnes had become Captain America. Now Steve Rogers is around, so there were 2 Captain Americas, I think around this time period of Marvel Comics, but Bucky is the one we see in this story. Either way, you have them talking about Shadowland and how messed up it is, and also that people are disappearing. This is the funny moment. You have Iron Man tell Luke Cage and Iron Fist to go talk to Daredevil and tell him to cut it out, to really get rid of Shadowland. They will give him some time to do it, and you have Luke Cage and Iron Fist ask, what if Daredevil says no? Well, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America stand tall together to show if these 3 have to step in, they will beat down on Daredevil and Shadowland very easily. This was Marvel saying, no, your powerful Avenger characters will not be in this event at all. Back to Shadowland, we see that Bullseye has arrived at Shadowland and has begun the process of killing some ninjas who are part of the Hand, who of course are under Daredevil control. With those deaths, that makes Daredevil come out of nowhere and tells the hand members to get Bullseye. We can see here with the way Daredevil looks now, he's wearing an all black outfit with the wording in red and other outlines in red too. While you have Daredevil and the Hand trying to capture Bullseye, while Luke Cage and Iron Fist were watching and wondering if they should step in. There is another page where they do confront Daredevil, while Daredevil lets his ninjas chase after Bullseye. You have Iron Fist and Luke Cage asking Daredevil what in the world is going on here in Hell's Kitchen. He has to stop, get rid of Shadowland, except Daredevil says no, and wonders if they will join his cause. Of course, they also say no. He tells them that this is the only time he is going to say this. Stay out of his way. The chase down for Bullseye leads to Japtis Convention Center, a very interesting name. But the fight is to show that the Hand Ninjas do not stand a chance against Bullseye, and Bullseye is killing them left and right, except this is the perfect setup for what is about to come and what is going to make everyone think about stepping in to stop Daredevil. The last 4 pages shows Daredevil jumping into the fight, which is him getting tired of Bullseye, where you do have Bullseye continue to talk trash towards Daredevil, making fun of him and trying to kill him as well. Daredevil is not having it anymore, where you have Daredevil break one of the arms of Bullseye, which of course shocks Bullseye to see Daredevil do that, except Daredevil is not done yet. He then goes on to break the other arm of Bullseye. So now both arms are broken, but this is not what makes everyone freak out across the Marvel Universe, except it is when you have Daredevil actually stab Bullseye right in the chest, which of course kills Bullseye and leads us into the rest of the Shadowland event. And this is where So with the opening of this book, it is a funny book, and I hate that I'm covering this book, but this shows how crazy all of the tie-ins are for Shadowland. We open up at the funeral for Bullseye, which makes you wonder, who in the world cares so much for this serial killer to give them an actual service? Because we see people there and crying for the fact that this man is dead. Now, at this funeral, you have Ben Urich there as well, meaning that he could be there to report on this. Ben Urich at this point no longer works for the Daily Bugle. He left and formed his own newspaper called Frontline. That is supposed to be reporting stories that aren't part of some kind of overall agenda, except we're going to learn more about why he is here. Out of nowhere, you have some random old man freak out and run away. While he is running away, he states how crazy this is and the funeral is fake. Except he is attacked by some ninja stars to make him drop to the ground. Then you have some random biker looking dude make a threat towards the priest to tell him to continue or he is going to shoot the priest. Then you have some random man come behind Ben Urich to tell Ben Urich that Bullseye is not dead and they need to bring him back to life. The next page begins the trend of us learning how we got to the funeral, who the people are at the funeral with Ben Urich, and why this all happened. Starting with some of the people who are thugs break into the home of Ben Urich and tell him that he has to come with them, which of course he really doesn't have a choice here since they have a gun pointed at him. We skip back a tad bit more, because we have to know why these guys are all riled up for, which is because Daredevil had killed Bullseye back in Shadowland #1, which was huge. But some random people at a bar are upset about the fact that that had happened and how bad Shadowland had become. They even get more upset when J. Jonah Jameson, who is the mayor of New York, begins to talk. He does talk about the fact that it is wrong that they have a hero going around and trying to be the complete law system now. since Daredevil declared that Bullseye should die, and he did kill Bullseye. Except Jonah then goes on to say that Bullseye doesn't deserve to have a funeral, how bad of a person he was, and maybe he deserved to die. So you have the biker guy we saw earlier begin to talk about how they're going to give Bullseye the respect he deserves, which of course is a funeral. Also that they're gonna show the world what Bullseye really meant. Then we see the same little guy who was able to see the ghost of Bullseye. Well, he was there at the bar, and he even had the ghost of Bullseye back then telling him to help the bikers out. It is going to help him get rid of Bullseye in his mind. So we see him getting into the back of the van with Ben Urich, and they all leave. He tells Ben Urich that his name is Denny Danvers. We will learn everyone's name as we go through this book. We start with JD Asphalt John McGrady and his motorcycle gang, who are known as Hell Riders. This is a quick short story about them because we learn the reason why they love Bullseye is because Bullseye has stopped by their dive bar, except another gang stopped by and tried to pick a fight with the Hell Riders. That messed up Bullseye a game of pool at their dive bar, so Bullseye killed that other gang. And this biker gang, they think he did it because Bullseye liked their style, except you have the ghost of Bullseye tell Denny Danvers that is not true at all. He only killed the gang because he flipped a coin and the Hell Riders won the toss to avoid being killed by Bullseye. The next person we focus on is Emerald Jax, where we see the whole gang of characters still traveling in the van from earlier. Jack's story was that he met Bullseye when Bullseye was fighting against Daredevil. That is when we learn at the same time Emerald Jax was working for the Kingpin, that was the same time Bullseye was working for the Kingpin as well. Either way, the gang travels to the base of Kingpin, where you have Emerald Jax thinking that he should invite Kingpin to the funeral service for Bullseye, except Kingpin tells Emerald he has no idea who he is, and also he never heard of Bullseye, showing that Kingpin doesn't care about anyone who works for him. The next person is Toro Zuki, who is just a hired assassin. Toro's story is just that he was on a mission one time with Bullseye to kill someone, except they couldn't complete their mission because the Punisher has stepped in and killed their target. Either way, Toro and Ben Urich had broken into the morgue so they could get the body of Bullseye for the funeral. There is a quick appearance of the Shroud, but only there to show that other heroes have to keep an eye out on the morgue because Daredevil and the Hand are giving out justice left and right, meaning they are killing people for the crimes they have committed. We then see that after they did their errands, well, they ran a few more, like get some flowers, kidnap a bus full of people, so that they can have an actual big group of people there at the funeral. Then they close down a park or part of a gravesite so they can have the funeral there. The reason why Ben Urich is there is because this group of guys want Ben Urich to report this, like it is some big time story, except that is when the biker guy sees that Ben Urich is not actually writing anything at all, because he left his first notepad back at the morgue so that Daredevil would be able to find it so Daredevil can save them. So that is when you have Daredevil, White Tiger, and some of the ninjas from the Hand come in and save everyone from this group of people who are in charge. There is a quick fight because the next page, the bad guys are all tied up, except this is the first moment where Ben Urich got the chance to sit down and look at Daredevil. He can tell just by looking at Daredevil that Daredevil has changed and not acting like he used to be. Because remember that Daredevil and Ben Urich used to be close friends, but right now it seems that they are no longer even talking. Now you have White Tiger be confronted by Ben Urich because Ben wants to know what happened to Denny Danvers, the guy who was able to talk to the spirits of dead people. Except you have White Tiger tell Ben that Denny Danvers really can't talk to spirits like he claims he can do. In reality, He's just some crazy person that broke out and claims that all kinds of spirits are telling him to kill people. The book closes with the idea of seeing Denny Danvers in some kind of shootout with the police, and the spirit of Bullseye tells Denny Danvers to go ahead and gun blazing towards the police. The book ends there, but we can tell that Denny Danvers was shot dead at the end of this book. And so at the opening of this book, we pick up with Elektra, who seems to be in some part of the world where it is freezing cold and snowing, except guessing the snow doesn't bother her at all, except she is greeted by Master Izo, who is coming to Elektra to ask her for some help. For the ones who are watching this video and wondering who in the world is Master Izo used to be part of the Hand, but when the Hand began to turn evil, he left. Then formed a second group of warriors until he was kicked out of that group as well. Either way, Master Izo was the one who trained Stick. Stick was the person who trained both Daredevil and Elektra, but before this book, Master Izo had asked Daredevil to join the Hand, hoping that Daredevil could actually change the Hand for the betterment of good. Of course, he failed. So it is Master Izo asking Elektra to help Daredevil for two reasons. One, Daredevil and Elektra used to have some toxic relationship. Well, they still do at this point. But also, she used to be in command of the Hand. That was her mission as well, hoping to change the Hand for the betterment of good. Then we find out that this is Master Izo talking to Elektra in her mind. Then we get a few pages to show us what Elektra was doing before her mind was invaded by Master Izo, which is that she was on some kind of mission to kill some random men. So we get a few pages that show us Elektra just taking out these random men with no problem at all. This is kind of cool because this is also reminding us what Elektra can do. She is deadly. She is not just a random character. There is a reason why these men are going to be dead, because they don't even stand a chance against her. Some time has passed by and we see Elektra is collecting some money from some guy that tells us that he was the one who was paying her to kill that group of men earlier. But this guy was planning to kill Elektra while she was counting the money, except she mentions that this man's life means nothing to her. To this random man, he is confused why she said that. That is when you have a group of the Hand being a ninja clan and the current version of a pseudo-religious cabal worshipping a demon known as the Beast. The clan is made up of different factions which are each led by a faction leader. Well, this group comes out of nowhere and kills this guy and then say that they were sent by Daredevil, and apparently he wants to get rid of her. Not really her to be killed, but he wants her out of America. The problem is that she finds the idea of Daredevil sending these guys and not coming himself as an insult. Now, the Hand weren't going to fight Elektra, but since she said that, well, the youngest member of this group decided to attack her, which teaches him a lesson on why that is a bad idea. Except while she is fighting against this guy, that is when she is confronted again by Master Izo in her mind, where this is Master Izo telling her that she should help Matt Murdock because it is not him doing things on his own will. He mentions that Matt Murdock is currently under the control of the Beast. Now, the name The Beast should not be confused with the X-Men character Beast. The Beast is some kind of ancient demon that the Hand has summoned to use its powers. Slowly, it had infected the Hand and made them change their ways. That is why Master Izo had left. But
That is why Master Izo has sent Daredevil and Elektra to basically help the Hand defeat the beast, except now Daredevil's soul is now being affected by the beast and being controlled by it. After the fight and talking to Master Izo through her mind, we see Elektra go outside and we see something on the big screen. Of course, it is the actions of what had happened in Shadowland number 1, which was the moment Daredevil had killed Bullseye. This is showing us that the whole world saw it happening. And we already knew that thanks to Shadowland Bullseye. Either way, when Elektra was watching the video, at first it seems that she is happy that Matt Murdock killed Bullseye. Bullseye was the one who killed Elektra a long time ago. But when she sees him kind of struggling to get control of his mind, it shows her that he is battling for the control of his body with the beast. The book then closes on Elektra, where it seems that she is climbing the big wall of ice. She's in the same spot where we started this video, but it seems that maybe she is going to help Master Izo. Could be wrong there, but honestly, we will find out down the road in a later video. But this is where we are going to end. So with these tie-ins, they actually focus more on the supporting characters of Daredevil rather than the character himself. So characters like Dakota North, who became an interesting love interest to Matt Murdock, Becky Blake, who is a lawyer that works in the same office as Matt Murdock, and finally Foggy Nelson, the best friend of Matt Murdock. Except the problem is they are watching the film of Daredevil killing Bullseye. Except you have Foggy Nelson telling Dakota North and Becky Blake that they should talk to him and hopefully they can help him snap out of whatever trance he is in right now. This is when we pick up with Daredevil himself, who is right now swinging around Shadowland since Daredevil had turned Hell's Kitchen into Shadowland. But then he is confronted by White Tiger, who tells him that her and the rest of the Hand have cut off access to New York on the ground, which of course pleases Daredevil. Now White Tiger is a character who inherited the White Tiger amulet that gives her powers from Hector Alea. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But he was the original White Tiger. She was killed by the Hand and brought back to life to be part of the Hand organization. Now she is concerned for Daredevil because he just killed the one person who has caused so many problems for Daredevil over the years. Of course, you have Daredevil say no and then leaves to continue his work in Shadowland, then states he has more plans for New York's future. We then pick up with Detective Klutz, who was this close friend of Dakota North. Anytime Dakota North needed some kind of information or inside man in the police department, he was the guy she went to. Detective Klutz then slowly built a bond with Daredevil as well. But with him being a police officer, he tells us that with Daredevil taking over Hell's Kitchen and turning it into the Shadowland, police are kind of being forced out because it is Daredevil law now, and man's law doesn't really work in Daredevil's territory. So it is him having a hard time adjusting to this new time in Hell's Kitchen. We skip back over to Daredevil, well really a random man who is walking around Hell's Kitchen and minding his business. That basically this is the book going to show us what happens when you break the law in Hell's Kitchen. When a group of thugs try to beat down on this old man, well you have Daredevil and a group of the Hand appear and come in to protect this man from the group of thugs. Except when they beat down on these thugs, once done, they make them examples of what happens when you break the law in Shadowland. You get beaten down badly and hung up with a sign to tell the world what you did. Now getting back to Dakota North and Foggy Nelson, we see them trying to get into Shadowland, but the problem is that it is blocked on the ground level. We were told that earlier by White Tiger. Speaking of White Tiger, she does appear and tell Foggy Nelson and Dakota North that they have to leave. Of course, you have Dakota North telling her that they need to talk to Daredevil, they need to tell him something important. Except, of course, White Tiger says no, and tells them to leave before she has to kill them. We then see Daredevil walking around his Shadowland fortress, just getting some update from one of his ninjas, except he begins to have some kind of headache, and we saw this in the Shadowland Elektra book, that something is bothering him, but then we see him go through some intense pain, and then tears half his mask off, making it seem that something has taken over his body. We then switch back to Dakota North and Foggy Nelson, who are driving down the road and trying to think what they should do next. Except while they are driving around, a random ninja shoots an arrow to take out the car. Car flips over, they crash, Dakota North has to pull out Foggy Nelson, but then they get confronted by a group of ninjas, which they make it seem that they are not part of the hand. So the question is, who do they work for? We then pick up with Master Izo, who is right now in some place called the Wall of the Chast, and we see him talking to someone, how he has been trying to call this person to help him save Matt Murdock, or at least stop Matt Murdock. Now we know who he is talking to because we covered Shadowland Elektra, and of course it is Elektra who he is talking to, since she used to be the love interest to Daredevil and also used to be the leader of the Hand, and it seems that she's the only one who could stop him and save the day. Skipping over to the Fortress of the Hand, where we have Elektra and Master Izo both trying to break into this fortress. The reason why is they are hoping to learn more why the Hand are trying to use Daredevil so much for. They don't really have a plan to stop the Hand here, just trying to gather some kind of information, also kill some warriors as well. Once they are inside the fortress, they overhear the snake root. Again, we don't get the chance to learn much about the snake root. What we can gather here is that the snake root is basically 3 high-level members of the Hand who are really hoping Daredevil does get the beast inside of him. They have more plans for Daredevil once Daredevil has been infected by the beast completely. Once Elektra and Master Izo overhear the snake root group talk to White Tiger through some magic means, they get the idea how serious everything is about to be. Also, there is an artifact that I'm not going to pronounce that has been stolen, and we are going to see that item bring another character in this event. Getting back to Dakota North and Foggy Nelson, they are being surrounded by some ninjas after the ninjas had wrecked their car. Now at first, we couldn't really tell if this group of ninjas actually worked for the Hand or not. Well, we find out here because when Dakota North goes to shoot some of them to defend herself against them, the way they die like members of the Hand. See, when a ninja from the Hand is killed, they just turn to dust automatically. So when Dakota North kills a few of them, well, they turn into dust. Either way, you have Dakota North realize that there are too many of them for her to handle on her own. Lucky for her, when she is about to die by this group of ninjas, she is saved by Luke Cage and Iron Fist. This gives us a few pages where we watch the two of them beat down on this group. Once you have them being able to beat these guys, you have Luke Cage and Iron Fist ask why in the world they were being attacked by the Hand for. Dakota North tells them she has no idea why. Foggy Nelson thinks there is no way that Daredevil would send a group of ninjas after them because they are his friends. But Luke Cage and Iron Fist think it would be best for them to talk to Matt Murdock. The next few pages of this storyline, we see Elektra and Master Izo running out of the base of the hand. They were caught, so that is why they have to run away, which makes Elektra mad. Master Izo told her that he had a secret route that should have got them in and out of the place. But of course, that did not work. But once they crossed this bridge that is just a tree connecting the two sides, Master Izo tells Elektra that he is going to cut the tree so that it will let Elektra get away. It is him just sacrificing himself for the chance to stop Matt Murdock. Another character that gets involved in this event is a lady named Typhoid Mary, who is a pyrokinesis, meaning she can just start fires with her mind. She has been a Daredevil villain for a long time, and also she has personality problems. We saw her briefly in our Brian Michael Bendis Daredevil run, where she went around working for the Kingpin, but this time she wants to work for Daredevil. He can't believe this because to him, she has so many different personalities that it makes it hard for him to trust her. Also that they have fought so many times in the past. But this is when she tells us that thanks to something called the Zero Room, her personality disorder is gone. So it is her telling Daredevil that she is okay now and she can help. She also wants to protect Hell's Kitchen. To close on this video, we pick up with Dakota North and Foggy Nelson going to some safe house that was given to her by Detective Klutz. This is them talking about getting some kind of help for Daredevil, more of like an intervention to be more exact, except when they look outside, well, there was some kind of explosion outside that was near Shadowland's fortress, of course being where Daredevil is staying at. And we have no idea what that explosion was, but of course, we are going to learn about that later on in our Shadowland coverage. But this is where So at the opening of this book, we pick up with some random couple who are thinking that they're about to move into their new house, except they come to find out someone has bought the house from them and there is no way they can pay more for the house. The question is, who bought the house? We come to find out it was Moon Knight who bought the house, and he is out on a mission right now taking care of some thugs. Now, when it comes to the character Moon Knight, the only reason why he became Moon Knight was because he was a mercenary who found a temple that was the home to the moon god Khonshu, who would choose his human avatar to do his bidding, which of course he chose Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight. But with these opening pages, it kind of seems that Moon Knight is not working for Khonshu anymore, that he is kind of just your regular day hero in New York. Ever since he has given up working for Khonshu, he makes it seem that life has been going well for him. Then we pick up with the profile, who has the ability to look at someone and learn important details about them. He really can't read their minds or anything, but his powers let him know the nature of someone and some details about their lives. It has come in handy for a lot of different reasons, but we see him meeting up with Daredevil in Shadowland. The reason why he is here is because for some strange reason, Daredevil wants Moon Knight, and since the profile has a past with Moon Knight, it makes sense to send in the profile to get Moon Knight. Getting back to Moon Knight, we get to learn from him how great things have been for him since he has moved away from being the Avatar to Khonshu, that he has a new house, which we already saw earlier. He moved in with his lady Marlene, and they are madly in love with one another. Everything seems to be okay. He even talks about how there are times he has a personality disorder because he goes by 4 different personas: Mark Spector, Steve Grant, Jack Lockheed, and of course Moon Knight. At the same time, Khonshu is still haunting him and trying to pull him back in to be an avatar again, even though Moon Knight is like, nah, I don't want to. We then pick up with the profile again. I don't know where he is in this section, like what city or country either. He is just somewhere looking for someone who could challenge Moon Knight, kind of seeking out someone to become Moon Knight's doppelganger and going to cause Moon Knight so many problems and could be someone from Moon Knight's past. That is when we get some pictures that show the past of Moon Knight before he went into the army. I don't know if we have ever seen this done before. When it comes to the character of Moon Knight, we learn that he always had a love for war and violence, but with his dad couldn't accept the actions of his son because of their culture. But we also see Mark Spector influencing his brother Randall to become in love with war. Growing up, Mark Spector couldn't even stay out of trouble in school. He would get into fights so often at school. Once he was old enough, saw a poster about joining the army. Well, of course, he had joined the army, and that was it for him, really. But he never came back home because home did not feel like home to him anymore. At the end of this section, though, we see Khonshu is still constantly trying to pull Mark Spector back into being his avatar once again. Now remember, that profile is out there looking for someone to become a doppelganger to Moon Knight, which he does find this guy, and we don't get the chance to learn his name until much later, like the next video we pick up with this series and actually finish this series. Either way, we come to find out that this guy used to be in the army like Mark Spector. He also had a wife and 2 kids, so everything was going great for this random guy, except when he went out on one of his tours, something in his DNA unlocked and of course gave him powers. With those powers, he had badly injured some nurse because his powers let him shoot some kind of energy blast out of his eyes. Once that had happened, well, he was kicked out of the army with no pay, and everything began to fall apart for him, even to the point he left his family. Now, at the end of this section, we see that the profile lies about being an acolyte for Khonshu, and Khonshu is looking for a new avatar. This guy is down to serve a god he just learned about, and his first mission is to kill Moon Knight. We see this random man work quickly when it comes to drawing out Moon Knight so that they can fight and he can replace Moon Knight and be Khonshu's new avatar. He goes out in the world and kills a bunch of random women and then goes on to leave a message for Moon Knight to find. So it is him telling Moon Knight to come and find him and bring it on. There is a point where you had the story do this weird thing. Mark Spector comes home from being Moon Knight. Marlene, the woman he loves, is on the edge of the building falling off, which makes it seem that maybe he is going to save her, except the next page we see Mark Spector and Marlene flying over the city and being madly in love with one another. So it was weird. Getting back to the idea of this random guy who's trying to replace Moon Knight, well, that is when we learn that he is going by the name Shadow Knight. But with word getting out, of course, Mark Spector finds out and knows he has to check up on this. At the same time, you have Khonshu reappear in the mind of Mark Spector to tell him that he was warned about walking away being an avatar. Now someone is out there trying to replace him and he has to stop this fake wannabe Moon Knight. This is where the story kind of gets confusing because out of nowhere you have Mark Spector decide that he needs to save Daredevil. So his next goal is to go into Shadowland and stop Daredevil, since word is getting out about what Daredevil did to Bullseye and the Hand becoming more of a serious group of people in Hell's Kitchen. He is going to do some kind of crime in Hell's Kitchen to get captured and be sent to the prison underneath the Shadowland fortress. While Mark Spector was doing all of that, well, you have Shadow Knight pretend to be Mark Spector, walk into the home of Mark Spector, and continue to beat down on Marlene. This is where we find out that Marlene was pregnant. So now the baby could be in trouble. And this is
So finally getting back into Shadowland's main story, we pick up in Shadowland number 2, retelling us what we learned from the Shadowland Moon Knight number 1 storyline. At the end of that book, we saw Moon Knight causing trouble in Shadowland so that he can get captured by the Hand. For the ones who don't know who Moon Knight is, well, he is a character who has multiple personality disorder because he used so many different personalities to complete the mission. He has 4 different personalities in his head, the last one being Moon Knight, the hero. Either way, he does get captured so he can be dragged into Shadowland Fortress, a sneaky way to get inside. We then switch over to Luke Cage and Iron Fist. We pick up in one of Iron Fist soup kitchens. They are talking about what Daredevil did to Bullseye in Shadowland number 1, but Luke Cage brings up the fact that what Daredevil did, or he's doing right now, is just bringing fear into the city. So at first, Iron Fist thinks that maybe Daredevil is okay, but after a while, Luke Cage is able to convince Iron Fist that they should go into Shadowland and talk to Daredevil about things, except that is when they are confronted by Daredevil's worst enemy, and that is of course the Kingpin. Now, Luke Cage and Iron Fist knows who Kingpin is, and they know that he must be up to something or he wants something from them, which of course he does want something from them. With Shadowland being in Hell's Kitchen, it caused a lot of problems for Kingpin's businesses. So it is him kind of asking to work with Luke Cage and Iron Fist to stop Daredevil, which of course it is Kingpin is planning on doing something else. Finally getting with the star of the book, which is Daredevil, who is being confronted by Black Tarantula. Remember that Daredevil is in charge of the Hand and making the Hand do whatever he wants, which is to protect Hell's Kitchen. Now, Black Tarantula is one of the top guys under Daredevil's control, except he comes here to see how Daredevil is doing after killing Bullseye, since Bullseye was Daredevil's second worst enemy. Black Tarantula thinks the death of Bullseye is affecting Daredevil, except Daredevil says it doesn't bother him at all. The only thing he wants done now is for the Hand to begin recruiting more people to his cause. Then we get a section where we see Kingpin with Lady Bullseye. Remember that she wanted Kingpin to be the one in charge of the Hand, except the Hand went to choose Daredevil instead, the original person they wanted to choose. But remember, back in Daredevil 508 and 509 video, which are 2 books that tie into the main event, we learned that someone has stole a scroll that I cannot pronounce, but they stole it from the Hand. Of course, that person was Lady Bullseye, so Kingpin can use it, which is the Hand magic to summon one of the Hand's worst enemy and make this person be under Kingpin's control. That person is Ghost Rider, and we don't learn more about this until Shadowland Ghost Rider tie-in. We jump into the Shadowland Fortress once again, where we pick up with Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Shang-Chi, Misty Knight, and Colleen Wing, all there to basically talk to Matt Murdock out of what he is doing, which of course is Shadowland. They had lied about why they came to talk to him about it. They had told Black Tarantula that they wanted to join the forces of Daredevil, but of course that was a lie. They just said that to talk to him and show him that he is turning evil. Also, you have Spider-Man come into the event now, since Spider-Man and Daredevil have a long history with one another. Now remember that Moon Knight pretended to be an innocent civilian to get captured and thrown into the prison of the Shadowland Fortress, so that he can find a way to help Daredevil, since Daredevil has gone mad. Except Moon Knight did not consider the fact that Ghost Rider would ride through the basement and start blowing things up left and right. Because remember that Ghost Rider was summoned by the Kingpin thanks to the Hand magic to do whatever the Kingpin wants him to do, which will start to bring down the Daredevil and the Hand. So with Ghost Rider going around
blowing up stuff left and right underneath the fortress? Well, Daredevil thinks that the heroes who are in front of him planned this to happen. So he tells his ninjas that they are now allowed to kill the heroes, since he feels like the heroes have betrayed him and they deserve to die for what they have done to him and his home. So now we get this big battle between the two sides in the middle of the Shadowland Fortress. So with the second chapter of this book, we jump back down into the dungeon of Shadowland, where we see Moon Knight kind of angry about the fact that Ghost Rider has ruined his plan. Then out of nowhere, you have Ghost Rider stop and tell Moon Knight that he realized that he has been played and feels like someone is controlling him again. He hates the idea of someone controlling him. So he says that he is going to go figure out who was controlling him and why. We know it is Kingpin, and we know why. But you want to see his adventure, you have to read Shadowland Ghost Rider #1, which we are going to cover down the road. Getting back to the fight upstairs, you have the heroes who came here to talk to Daredevil realize that he is changing big time. What I mean by that is that Daredevil is becoming very strong, more like a superhuman strong, which Daredevil never had been before. His powers are his enhanced senses. So when he goes around, beats up everyone, and makes everyone scared because of how strong he is, it is a sign that the demonic beast is taking over him. Remember, the Hand is an evil ninja organization of ancient time that has been trying to bring out the demonic being known as the Beast. So things are becoming very bad right now, and the heroes should really find a way to stop Daredevil. Except the heroes were not planning on Typhoid Mary, the pyrokinetic villain that recently had joined Daredevil's side. So with her being there, well, that gives Daredevil the edge because she can be a powerful threat. This leads into a huge explosion happening, and you would think the heroes are badly injured now, except this is the moment we have to add someone else into this book, because this person also has close ties with Daredevil. That person being the Punisher. And the Punisher is here to actually save the heroes and give them an exit so they can leave and come back to regroup on how they're going to stop Daredevil. We then get back to Kingpin and Lady Bullseye. You have Lady Bullseye tell Kingpin that he has messed up with summoning Ghost Rider. The reason why is because Ghost Rider will come back to kill Kingpin for playing him, except Kingpin mentions that this is the perfect plan. The scroll he used stops Ghost Rider from attacking Kingpin, since Kingpin was the one who summoned him. If Ghost Rider wants to kill Kingpin, he has to get rid of the Hand to break the magic spell that blocks Ghost Rider from attacking Kingpin. So Kingpin is getting what he wants, to get rid of the Hand. Picking back up with Daredevil, Mary Typhoid, and the rest of the Hand who stays in the Shadowland Fortress, where Daredevil thinks that the heroes who originally wanted to help Daredevil out were really a diversion so that Ghost Rider could break out all of the prisoners. Of course, we know that is not true at all. But Daredevil said they need someone strong on their side to help them complete their mission. We are going to learn who it is here in a minute. But while Daredevil was talking about this plan, well, Moon Knight was listening in. So we see Daredevil and Mary Typhoid go to some graveyard site, which should give you an idea who they are about to bring back to life. Except while they're about to bring out the person out of the grave to bring this person back to life, you have Elektra down to join Daredevil's side, and then we find out that Daredevil is bringing Bullseye back to life. So then we pick up with the heroes who were trying to help Daredevil out earlier, hanging out in some apartment talking about what they are going to do to stop Daredevil. Except you have the Punisher bring up the fact that they are going to have to stop Daredevil, but the only way to stop him is to kill him, and that is something the heroes know they are not ready to do.
except they are going to have to kill him if they want to actually beat him. Then you have Master Izo pop out of nowhere, which lets us know that he did not die in Daredevil number 509, the book we covered. Either way, he said that where he thought Daredevil could change the hand into making them better, of course he was wrong. How the high-rank group of the hand, known as the Snake Root, are planning to make Daredevil to be a vessel for a demonic being known as the Beast. And so this is supposed to be a Spider-Man tie-in book for Shadowland, but in reality, it is more of a Shang-Chi book. Or maybe Dan Slott, who is currently writing Spider-Man, was trying to make a Shang-Chi book in the early 2000s something special. So we get this book where we see Shang-Chi trying to battle some kind of beast that is trying to take over his body. And you're wondering what in the world is happening, because this is only the beginning of this story. Well, we go outside the mind of Shang-Chi, and we see that Shang-Chi is being choked out by Mr. Negative. Now, when it comes to Mr. Negative, he has two different personas, which is Martin Lee and Mr. Negative. Martin Lee, usually a good guy, and everything he touches usually heals people, except his opposite side, Mr. Negative, can bring the bad out of people. So we see right now, Mr. Negative is bringing the bad out of Shang-Chi to make him fall under his control, except something happened where Shang-Chi is able to absorb the powers of Mr. Negative, so it makes you wonder, what in the world is going on? That is when we jump back in time like literally 10 minutes ago, because we pick up where we left off with the heroes who were trying to stop Daredevil in Shadowland number 3. Apparently in that moment, Spider-Man left the hero meeting because he saw one of Mr. Negative's men running around Shadowland. So Spider-Man leaves the meeting because he felt that Mr. Negative is up to something and it is his responsibility to stop Mr. Negative. Since Shang-Chi saw Spider-Man leave the meeting, he thought it would be a good idea for him to follow his buddy and Spider-Man tell him everything that is going on. Then Spider-Man tells us that there is a war between the Hand and Mr. Negative. The problem with this war is that when you kill one of the ninja members of the Hand, they just go poof and they turn into dust. Except when you kill one of Mr. Negative's men, you can stab how many times you want, they will get back up. Their inner demons keep pushing them forward, so sooner or later Mr. Negative could actually beat the Hand and give Mr. Negative more territory to work with. But if he gets Shadowland, well, that will be really bad. That leads into a bunch of pages where we see Spider-Man and Shang-Chi fighting against Mr. Negative and Mr. Negative's men, and also some members of the Hand. Now, when Martin Lee is in his Mr. Negative form, well, he also gets super strength and becomes an amazing fighter, which gives him the edge to fight against Spider-Man and Shang-Chi, which leads us to the moment that started the beginning of our video, where we have Mr. Negative choking out Shang-Chi. So with us getting back to the present moment of the book, we pick up with Shang-Chi somehow being able to use the powers of Mr. Negative. We don't know how it happened, they don't bother to explain it. With Shang-Chi being able to use the abilities of Mr. Negative, well, that gives him the ability to control the men of Mr. Negative to do whatever he wants. So of course, we get these pages where you have Spider-Man trying to help Shang-Chi break out of the negative energy that Mr. Negative had put inside of Shang-Chi's body. With this being a one-shot book, we know how this book is going to end. Mr. Negative's energy leaves the body of Shang-Chi, and of course now Shang-Chi is a good guy again. And with him being a good guy again, well, Mr. Negative's men leave because now they are no longer under Shang-Chi's control. The book ends with Shang-Chi and Spider-Man swinging away and getting ready to rejoin the rest of the heroes to help them get ready for the big battle between them and Daredevil. So like I said, this book was more of a Shang-Chi book, but they couldn't sell a Shang-Chi book because his character was someone not many people liked. So let's call it a Spider-Man tie-in to the Shadowland event. But so at the opening of this book, we pick up with the star of this book, which of course is Ghost Rider. Now, if you remember from our Shadowland issue number 2 and 3 video, Kingpin has summoned Ghost Rider by using one of the hand scrolls, which makes Ghost Rider do his biddings. Of course, Kingpin told Ghost Rider to go after Daredevil in the hand at the Shadowland Fortress. Of course, Ghost Rider did that, but the Ghost Rider felt like he was being played, that Kingpin was using him for something that really wasn't for a good reason. So of course, Ghost Rider goes back to find the Kingpin to have a conversation with him. Except something Kingpin forgot to mention is that Ghost Rider can't attack Kingpin like he wants to. There was a secondary spell that protects Kingpin from Ghost Rider, and of course makes Ghost Rider very angry because Ghost Rider knows that Kingpin is just using him to kill Daredevil. Once that is done, Kingpin will get the ability to control the hand like he wanted originally. Also, Kingpin wants to get rid of the hand as well because that will bring Daredevil down a few levels, because Daredevil will lose his army of ninjas. Now, if Ghost Rider wants to kill Kingpin or to make him pay, well, Ghost Rider is going to have to go to the source of the magic and stop it, which is really going after the hand at their main base. You then have Ghost Rider talking to us about some of the recent events that have happened in his life. Some not so recent, like how many people have used him over the years for their own personal needs. This leads to Ghost Rider telling us how recently he has saved Heaven from Zakel. Since he did that, he kind of expects that he deserves some kind of repayment for doing it. So it is him yelling out to Heaven, wondering if they are going to repay him as he is riding his bike towards the Temple of the Hand. Of course, Heaven does not answer back to him, which makes him even angrier. Now, a group that was introduced to us in the early parts of the Shadowland event is an elite group of the Hand called the Snake Root, a bunch of guys who were the ones trying to use Daredevil to become the Beast, the demonic being the Hand that has been trying to bring back so many times, and Daredevil makes the perfect candidate to be the one to bring back the Beast. When Ghost Rider gets there, well, he pops in drunk, like literally drunk, and of course you think that maybe he is going to become Ghost Rider and begin the process of fighting these guys, except no, that doesn't happen. Ghost Rider gets taken hostage by the Snake Root in the Hand. So we then see Ghost Rider being held hostage and being held over some kind of pit. The Hand thinks that they are going to see him transform and try to fight against them. He doesn't, so then they stab him, which of course is slowly going to kill him, but again, he doesn't transform, and so it makes them think that if they make him fall in the never-ending pit, he will transform into his Ghost Rider form, but he doesn't, because Johnny Blaze wanted to die and finally be at peace, except when Ghost Rider reaches limbo where he thinks that he is finally going to die, some force comes out of nowhere and tells him that he can't die because that he is needed. Of course, Ghost Rider knew that he wouldn't be let go so freely, so he tells whoever this is that if he is going down there, he needs to be repaid for saving Heaven, and this random voice tells him yes. So we see Ghost Rider come out of the pit, crawling out, and the Hand knew what was going on. That is not even the crazy part of this story, because once Ghost Rider comes out of the pit, well, we see that the voice from Limbo gave Ghost Rider the ability to summon some angels from the sky. So now Ghost Rider has the ability to control angels to make them do whatever he wants, which is to kill the Hand and the elite group of the Hand known as Snake Root. Now Snake Root is wondering who Ghost Rider is working for, which Ghost Rider tells Snake Root that it is the Kingpin. Now, the Snake Root knows that Kingpin wants them dead because once they are removed, that could give Kingpin the chance to control the Hand. To Ghost Rider, he doesn't care because once he kills them, that ends the magic spell over him, and that is how the book ends. So at the opening of this book, we pick up where Shadowland number 3 left off at. Well, really in the middle of it. Because remember, with the combination of both Shadowland number 3 and Shadowland Moon Knight number 1, Moon Knight went undercover to get captured and get into Shadowland hoping to help Daredevil turn good again. Except his plan fell apart because Ghost Rider blew part of the place up. And that made Moon Knight change his plan and help the other heroes fight against Daredevil like we saw in the middle of Shadowland number 3. The only problem is that I don't remember him actually being in the big superhero fight. Either way, you have Moon Knight try to go up against Daredevil in a one-on-one battle, where Moon Knight gets the chance to learn how strong Daredevil is becoming, because Daredevil is being affected by the demonic being the Hand has been trying to bring back for a long time, which is known as the Beast. But of course, Daredevil is becoming too strong for any of the heroes to handle on their own because Daredevil is getting stronger. In the middle of this fight, something begins to attack the mind of Moon Knight, but thankfully for Moon Knight, he is able to have Khonshu come in and save him from whatever it was. That is when you have Khonshu tell Moon Knight that basically that was the Beast trying to take over Moon Knight's mind. After that is done, you have Moon Knight tell the rest of the heroes that they need to pull away if they are going to be able to handle this problem. They need to regroup. This is where the tie-in really gets confusing because you have Ghost Rider there at the battle, but he left in Shadowland number 3 at the very beginning of that book. So this is not correct. That is when you have Khonshu tell Moon Knight that there is a way to save Daredevil and stop the Beast, except for Moon Knight to learn more about this weapon or item that can stop Daredevil. Moon Knight has to basically take Khonshu back. Remember, from our last video, that Moon Knight had pushed Khonshu away because his life was becoming so great and that Khonshu only wanted Moon Knight to be Moon Knight to have some blood spill in his name. Either way, you have Moon Knight get the info from Khonshu, and Khonshu tells him that he needs to find the Sapphire Crescent that has been changing hands left and right for the last few decades. So Moon Knight needs to find some clues to tell him where this weapon is. Remember that in the last issue, Shadow Knight, the evil doppelganger that is out there trying to be the new avatar for Khonshu, had actually gone and attacked the girlfriend or wife of Moon Knight, which is Marlene, and she was badly beaten by Shadow Knight, and Moon Knight finds his lady on the ground. She says that she was calling out to him and he never came. She thought the person who was there was him, but she was tricked by this Shadow Knight person. Don't worry, she is not dead, but she is knocked out for sure. We did get a few more pages of Moon Knight's past, and we had learned in the last video that Moon Knight's father in the past hated how his sons grew up loving war. He wanted his kids to follow other things that were less violent, but of course, Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight, he fell in love with war, enlisted in the army, but once he left the army, he went to be some kind of boxer, which again is more violence. Then his father comes out of nowhere to tell his son that he is disappointed in his son for the violent ways.
and tells Mark Spector that his brother Randall had enlisted too. So we are learning more about Moon Knight's past. With Marlene being injured and him thinking about the past, he tells Khonshu that he will continue to be his avatar and spill blood in his name. So to close on the first half of this video, we see Moon Knight being able to find Shadow Knight and crash land his moon hoverboard right into Shadow Knight, which of course begins a fight between the two of them, and Moon Knight being able to learn that Shadow Knight has some powers of his own to use against Moon Knight. Now, after a few pages have passed by, that is when we get the big plot twist of this book. And for Moon Knight, it is hard for him to believe who is behind the mask of Shadow Knight. It is his own brother Randall, the one who went into the army. This, of course, leads into Moon Knight finding out why Randall had become the Shadow Knight in the first place. That basically, when Randall came back home from war like his brother did, what we saw in Moon Knight #1, he was loved. But when he came home a second time after getting his powers and his powers ended up hurting someone, he came back and people had treated him like he was a nobody, especially his brother, since his brother Mark never had contacted him. Also that their dad still did not respect Mark nor Randall. At the end of this fight though, Randall had disappeared. We then get a page where you have Moon Knight kind of shutting everyone out, and this includes Marlene as well, because when she goes down into his study, he's ignoring her and she doesn't know which persona he's in right now. Is he Moon Knight or is he Mark Spector? Because you have to remember that Moon Knight does deal with personality disorder. Another page, we see that Shadow Knight is out there still killing people and using their blood to leave messages for Moon Knight to see. So it is him calling out to his brother to come and get him. You then have Moon Knight to begin to talk to Khonshu again, the god of the moon, who is telling Moon Knight that, hey, you still need to help stop Daredevil. The only way to do it is if you find the Sapphire Crescent. It kind of works out for Moon Knight since he is going after Shadow Knight. The reason why is because Shadow Knight also wants the Sapphire Crescent, thinking that it will help him become the new avatar for Khonshu, and the Sapphire Crescent is in New Orleans. So you have Moon Knight being able to go to New Orleans and also being able to find the person who is currently holding on to the Sapphire Crescent, which is some person who thinks that she can predict the future. She tried to predict Moon Knight's future to make him think that she is legit, but he tells her that the only thing he wants is the jewel. She thinks that there is no way he has enough money to afford it, and then he proves her wrong by pulling out a lot of money and flashing it in front of her face. She of course says yes and gives it to him. This leads into a big battle between Moon Knight and Shadow Knight, because when Moon Knight was thinking that he was just going to leave easily with the Sapphire Crescent, except of course Shadow Knight was there, and that began a big battle between the two sides. While they are fighting, Moon Knight learns what started Shadow Knight to go down this path, which was that he was visited by the Profile, who told him about Khonshu and made him go down this path. Profile lied and said he was also working for Khonshu, which of course it is not true. Moon Knight tells his brother that it is not true, but of course Shadow Knight is not listening, and this begins a situation where Moon Knight has to make a big decision. The reason why is because Shadow Knight had planted bombs all around him and planning to set them off. Of course, if he does, that will kill tons of people here, and this means a lot of blood will be spilled. Of course, this is something Khonshu wants, but not Moon Knight. So Moon Knight has to make the decision to spill his brother's blood to kill him so that the bombs won't go off and save the day. The last couple pages are more just Moon Knight going back into Shadowland to help the heroes fight against Daredevil. We don't see him team up with the other heroes. We do see him fight against a large group of the Hand, but that is it. And that is the end of the Shadowland Moon Knight tie-in. To be honest, this one sucks. The whole tie-in series sucks. We got 3 issues for a storyline with, to me, not that good artwork, but also that we were trying to force Randall, Shadow Knight, to be this cool character, and honestly, that didn't work out for them. But anyways, this is where we are going to end. So in the opening of this book, we pick up with the flashback, and we see a battle between Daredevil and Bullseye. With their battle, a building got blown up, and of course, some people were killed or injured. But after their battle was done, we see that someone was still alive. This person is glowing though, letting us know that somehow he was able to receive powers, or maybe he had powers, they just finally activated after the battle. We then jump into the present day, where we pick up with a character who used to be a Luke Cage villain, still kind of is, but these days nobody really cares for him. That person is Cottonmouth. He doesn't really have any powers, he just has sharp gold teeth, and that is it. He is also a pimp. But with him being a pimp in Hell's Kitchen, that is now known as Shadowland. Well, of course, the Hand comes in to stop him because this is Daredevil's territory, and they are doing illegal crime in this area. So the Hand is here to stop him and make him leave the area. We then get introduced to the new Power Man in Hell's Kitchen, taking the mantle away from Luke Cage. For the ones out there who don't know, when Luke Cage first appeared in Marvel Comics, he went by the name Power Man, but later on just went by the name Luke Cage. This new Power Man is Victor Alvarez, and we can see here that he has a different kind of powers than Luke Cage. Yes, he does have super strength, but as we go through this book, we are going to learn more about his powers. His powers are actually very interesting on how they work. He is able to move fast, able to shoot sonic waves to make people move away from him. At the end of this fight, he smashes Cottonmouth's new teeth, saves some people, and Power Man leaves. Now, this begins the process of us getting an idea that Victor powers work in a strange way because of the new members of the Hand that are there now. One of them realized he used a move that only a few should know. We do get an idea that Victor is kind of like Luke Cage. What I mean is that we see him being a hero for hire, that people hire Victor to do superhero stuff. But there is a good reason why he is doing this for. As soon as he collects his money, he changes back into his regular day clothes, except he dresses as a pizza boy. So we know that he has a job, but it is not paying enough clearly. We get the idea that Victor and his mother had to move in with his uncle and his kids. We don't get the chance to learn all of his cousins' name, but for one, that one person is Sophia. Except with all of them living in one small apartment, of course, no one has their own space, and tension is high. Except Victor's mother wants to know where he is getting the money from, because she knows that he quit his pizza man job 3 weeks ago. She is trying to make sure that her son is not going to end up like his father. Now, we don't get the chance to learn who his father is, but we know that his father is dead. Of course, him and his mother argue, and it ends up with Victor getting grounded. We then pick up with Iron Fist at one of his Kung Fu schools, and he is letting Shang-Chi, the master of Kung Fu, teach one of his classes. Now, we can tell that this takes place before Shadowland number 2 and 3 because they are talking about going to meet with Daredevil since he had stabbed Bullseye in Shadowland number 1. Of course, we know that they are going to go to help their friend, except then they sense that 3 ninjas from the Hand are in their school getting ready to attack them. We know why, since the new Power Man used a move that only a select few should know how to do. Except they come to tell Iron Fist that someone is going around and using the name Power Man. They also tell Iron Fist that it has to be one of his students since the new Power Man did this signature move on them earlier. They give Iron Fist a photo to show him the new Power Man, but Iron Fist tells them he has no idea who that is. We see that Iron Fist, of course, calls up his close friend Luke Cage to tell Luke that someone is going around using his own name, Power Man. At this exact moment, Luke Cage was asking Spider-Man to join them so they can talk to Daredevil about how Daredevil is turning evil. But this Iron Fist is telling Luke Cage someone is out there using his old name. We then see that Victor got an email for another job, so he still wants to be a superhero, except of course a hero for hire. So he takes the job and decides to meet up with this person who put the job out there. So he goes to meet up with this person, and this person gives him the job details, and I'm telling you now, the job details do not matter at all, because once Victor goes to the job location, of course he is confronted by Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Now, for Iron Fist, he wants to know how Victor knows how to use the Kung Lung Kung Fu move. Luke Cage wants Victor to stop being a hero, except before they are able to talk, well, that is when you have Victor punch Luke Cage in the face and says it was for his father, letting us know that Luke Cage did something to Victor's father, except Victor's father is dead. We then jump into the second chapter of the book. We see Victor talking to his father. Of course, we know this is a flashback since Victor's dad is dead, but this is moments before Victor's father was killed. We learn that Victor's father was planning on leaving Victor and Victor's mother behind. To Victor, he begins to hate his dad because when it comes to fighting for strangers, Victor's dad will put all of the effort into those kinds of things. But for the family, it seems that Victor's dad doesn't care. Then we see some explosion happen. Back in the present day, we see that Victor's mother is waking up and wanting to apologize for their argument earlier, except he is not there, which makes his mother upset because she knows her son has snuck out. Getting back to Luke Cage and Iron Fist fighting against Power Man, we see that this fight is getting intense, except we learn another reason why Victor doesn't like Luke Cage for. To him, Luke Cage was a street hero for a period of time, but as soon as he got the offer to be an Avenger, he betrayed his people to live the cushy life, and he married a Caucasian woman. While the three of them are fighting, someone sees them fighting, and this person has connections to Cottonmouth, the pimp that Power Man had beat up last time. We don't get the chance to learn who this person is, but he calls up some lady. This lady begins the process to send out a hit for the death of Victor. Seems like this is the boss of Cottonmouth, and with Victor messing up her plans, she is sending a bunch of mercenaries out there to kill him. Getting back to Iron Fist and Luke Cage fighting against Victor, well, this is when we see Victor express his hatred towards Luke Cage, that Luke Cage failed to be the street hero because he is running off to fight on Mars with the Avengers. Now, Iron Fist brings up the fact that Victor is only being a hero for money, but to Victor, he is doing this to show that he is not going to go anywhere for his neighborhood. Now, when Luke Cage goes to punch Victor, and so does Iron Fist, somehow Victor is able to absorb the chi energy from Iron Fist, the energy Iron Fist used to do his signature move. Except, we have to remember, whoever that lady was on the phone earlier, who called in all of the villains that are basically mercenaries, well, the mercenaries do show up, and now Victor has to fight against them. Luke Cage and Iron Fist do jump in to help Victor fight against them, but honestly, this fight is not even important. What is important is what happens after the fight. You have Victor tell Luke Cage that he is sorry about saying horrible things about Luke Cage's wife. But he tells Luke Cage that he is wearing the mask to make things right in his neighborhood. This is the moment you have Luke Cage get a good look at Victor and has this flashback of him with 3 other dudes. These are some old friends of Luke Cage, and Luke Cage knows who Victor's father is, so Luke Cage lets Victor leave, which makes Iron Fist angry, except Luke Cage reminds Iron Fist that they need to go stop Daredevil. So that leads us into Shadowland number 3. Well, the couple pages from that book, where the heroes went to Daredevil to talk to him about him turning evil. Of course, the conversation did not go as planned thanks to Ghost Rider. So they got into a big battle, but Daredevil is in the middle of the battle and says his no killing ban is lifted, meaning that the Hand can kill now in Hell's Kitchen. So the ninjas who fought against Power Man earlier wants to kill him for using a move that is so sacred. Getting back to Victor, we see him go home, but was unable to walk inside because of how badly injured he was. Sophia, his cousin, finds him, and this is the moment she learns that Victor is the new Power Man in their area, which of course she helps her cousin upstairs and wants to learn more about his powers, except Victor can only tell us that he got his powers after surviving the explosion. So the explosion we saw in the beginning of this video and someone popping out, that was Victor, but Victor's dad died in that explosion. Now Victor's mother does walk in the bathroom to see her son, but luckily he is out of his Power Man outfit. Sophia lies to her aunt saying that Victor was beat up by some rival gang. We then learn who was that mysterious lady on the phone earlier who's in charge. As a way to lead us into a cliffhanger, her name is Deadly Nightshade, and this character is complicated, and I might explain her origin in the next video. Either way, she says that Victor, being the new Power Man, has something that someone else has stolen from her, and she wants it back. And this is where we pick up with the character known as the Shroud. Now, the Shroud is basically another Marvel's attempt to make Batman. The reason why is because he literally has the same origin as Batman. The only difference is that after his parents died, he was committed to fight crime. When he joined the cult of Kali, he learned how to fight there, but he was given a power source known as the Kiss of Kali, which then gave him the ability to enhance his eyesight. Later on, he learns he has some connection with the Dark Force, which lets him summon this thick cloud to cover his tracks. Now, the reason why we pick up with him is because he finds a dead body. With this dead body being found, it is making it seem like the Hand is responsible for the death of this B-list mobster named Mikey. Except the problem is that the Hand at this point in Shadowland only works in Hell's Kitchen, which has been renamed to Shadowland. Shroud is not in Hell's Kitchen, but also with his enhanced senses, he was able to figure out that someone is watching him from a rooftop across the street. But before he is able to figure out, that is when he is confronted by the cops, so he has to leave. We then pick up with Misty Knight, who is one of the many Marvel private investigators in comics. Misty Knight will have 2 stories. This one will be her first one, but we see her right now being confronted by Bobby Furtado, the brother to Mikey Furtado. He is here to ask Misty Knight to have her and Iron Fist tell Daredevil that Bobby is going to get revenge. Because remember, right now it looks like Daredevil and the Hand have killed Mikey. There is something else to point out, that Misty Knight did lose her arm by a bomb, but Tony Stark gave her a cybernetic arm. Then Iron Fist, her boyfriend, had it upgraded. She then tells Bobby that she is not going to help out with no blood war and actually asks him to leave. You then have Shroud come by and tell Misty Knight that everything she heard from Bobby is true. It does seem that he is here to have some kind of team up, but he asks Misty to talk to Daredevil since they are close. Then he leaves. We then pick up with Silver Sable, who is kind of like a mercenary of sorts. Sometimes she brings in people who are known terrorists. Right now, she is looking for a guy named Sergei, and I cannot pronounce his last name. We don't get the chance to learn much of why she is here and why she is looking for that person, except we know that she is looking for him and the story moves on. We then see Misty Knight going to meet up with Raphael, who used to be Misty Knight's old partner when she was a cop. This is her going to him asking about all of the clues about Mikey's death. Right now, it seems that the Hand has killed him. But this is the moment when you have Raphael tell Misty Knight that Mikey is not the first one to be killed by the Hand and Daredevil, pointing back to Bullseye dying back in Shadowland number 1. Ever since then, a lot of people have been disappearing, and a lot of people have been found dead, with all the clues pointing at Daredevil in the Hand. So of course now, Misty Knight wants to learn more about what Daredevil in the Hand is doing. Now, going back to Silver Sable, we see her going undercover at some club to look for Sergei. Now, the reason why she is after him is because she is supposed to bring him in for Interpol. So with her disguise, she was able to get into the club and begin her search for Sergei. Except when she finds him, well, of course, he is dead, just like the way Mikey was killed. So of course, this is telling her that maybe Daredevil and the Hand are up to something. But just like the Shroud, the police arrive at the scene, and of course she has to leave. Now, once she is leaving out of the window, well, she sees an explosion happening at the Shadowland Fortress, the base that belongs to Daredevil in the Hand. We know that it has to be the moment Ghost Rider had blown up the fortress. Getting back to the Shroud, we see him going to the apartment that belongs to Bobby, the brother to Mikey, the first guy in this story. For Shroud, he wants to know who was watching him at Mikey's apartment. But of course, that is the moment you have the Shroud realize that the same person who was watching him is still watching him now. So of course, this mysterious person comes out and shoots the Shroud. Shroud is able to take the bullet, but then we learn who was watching him, and it was Paladin. Now, we don't get the chance to learn why Paladin was watching Shroud, but for the ones who don't know who Paladin is, well, Paladin was a villain of Daredevil and actually first appeared back in Daredevil number 150. Paladin is a mercenary, and his job ties into the main plot of why he is here and why he is watching Shroud. Of course, this begins a battle between the two characters. Now, something else to point out is that Paladin does have superhuman strength, super speed, and the list goes on. Except, after a few pages, we see Shroud being able to beat Paladin and being able to take him somewhere else so they can have a chat. We then jump back over to Misty Knight, who is right now breaking into the NYPD crime lab. Now, I mean, she went undercover and she went there to look at the body of Mikey to get some clues from it. Now, while she is in there and digging around, she learns that the NYPD did not even try to do an autopsy at all on the body of Mikey, except that is when she finds something that doesn't add up and could mean that the Hand and Daredevil actually did the killing to Mikey. We then get back to the Shroud and Paladin, who is right now wondering why in the world Paladin was following him around. That is when we learn that Paladin was hired by Mikey to actually kill his brother Bobby. Remember, Mikey was the first guy to die in our story, and his brother Bobby went to go see Misty and ask for her help. Apparently, Mikey hired Paladin to kill Mikey's brother Bobby. Paladin was paid half of the money that was promised to him before Mikey died. but Mikey died. And Paladin is wondering if Bobby has his money, thinking that Bobby got word about it and had his brother killed. Now we know Bobby was concerned about the death of Mikey, but these guys don't know that yet. They don't know that Bobby went to Misty Knight. Shroud thinks that they should go talk to Bobby to get some more clues of what is going on here. Now, Misty Knight is back at her place looking back over some of the clues that she has gathered. With those clues, she learned that there is no way the hand is going around killing random monsters. The way these wounds look, they look amateur. Not like a professional ninja would be able to do, except that is the moment you have the hand come by and surprise her. They are only here to tell Misty Knight that they did not kill Mikey and that she needs to stop her investigation, and that they are going to find the person who is going around framing them. Now, once the hand has left Misty Knight, well, that is when she calls up Bobby to tell him that he could be in danger. Except that is when Bobby tells Misty Knight that he does not believe his life is in that high level of danger. Except when he walks outside his bedroom, well, he sees that someone has killed all of his men. So now it is just him. But that is when he learns that the hand is there. Of course, they're about to kill him because it seems that maybe Bobby is the one who is framing the hand. Now, Silver Sable calls to the person from Interpol who hired her to bring in her target, Sergey. But of course, when she found him, well, Sergey was dead. To the Interpol agent, he thinks that Silver Sable killed Sergey because his crimes were so outrageous. She's calling this agent to ask if she will still get paid even though her target was killed. But of course, to the agent, he is not going to give her the money since he thinks that she killed Sergey. So for her to get paid, Silver Sable has to find the person who killed Sergey. Back at Bobby's apartment, we see Paladin go back to the apartment to see if what Shroud said is true. Maybe Bobby could help them figure out what is going on with all of the killings. Except Paladin finds the dead body of Bobby and also the phone of Bobby that he had just called Misty Knight. That is when Misty Knight walks into the room and she thinks that Paladin had killed Bobby. But of course, Paladin says that she can ask Shroud to prove that he is innocent. But before they can discuss anything else, well, that is when a bunch of Bobby's men break into the room to shoot at them. But in the beginning of the third chapter, we do get a quick glimpse of some ninjas going around killing some people in a random alleyway. Now at first, it does look like the hand, but we are going to learn that these guys are not the hand. Finally getting back to Misty Knight and Paladin as they are trying to escape the men of Bobby, because Bobby's men think that these two were the ones to kill Bobby, except we know that they weren't the ones, and they are trying to figure out who is going around killing mobsters in the city. So you have the two of them work together to deal with these guys, hoping to find a way to escape from these guys. Except one of these guys realize that someone is coming behind them and taking them all out. Of course, it is Silver Sable, who is here to help Misty Knight and Paladin out, but also they can help her figure out who killed her target. So she is helping, but at the same time, she's only helping for her own needs. But getting back to the guy who was killed in the alleyway, well, Shroud is watching over the cops taking the body away. Except he tells us that the first few bodies we got or saw were all mobsters. This guy wasn't. But the question is, who is framing the hand for all of these killings? This leads us back to Misty Knight, Silver Sable, and also Paladin. We see them hanging out in Silver Sable's base. This is them trying to figure out who killed Bobby, who killed Sergey, who also killed Mikey as well. Now, Silver Sable was able to find Misty Knight and Paladin was because when Misty Knight went to the morgue to look at the body of Mikey, Silver Sable was there too under disguise and saw Misty investigating the recent dead bodies and followed Misty to see what Misty knew, except here they are. And all they know is that the hand is innocent, but no idea who is killing everyone, which Misty Knight thinks that it has to be Mr. Negative because he has been trying to expand his gang territory. And we saw that in Shadowland Spider-Man #1. Mr. Negative has been battling against the hand because they have been giving him a hard time to expand his gang territory. So of course, you have the three of them go their separate ways to figure out if it's true that Mr. Negative is behind all of this. Getting back to the Shroud, we see him going to a warehouse that was rented out by the guy that was killed in the alleyway. Come to find out that he was not a monster, but instead he was selling some illegal kind of porn that I'm not going to say on here. But this guy is different from the rest of the dead bodies that have been found, meaning that he was not a mobster. Now, Misty Knight goes back to Raphael, her cop buddy, to see that what her and the rest of the heroes think is true, that Mr. Negative is the one behind all the killings to frame the hand. Except Raphael doesn't care, because to him, all the dead bodies are people who have done something horrible. So to him, why should they waste the manpower on bad people, but also because it is the hand. To Misty Knight, Raphael is not acting right because usually he would handle things like this, but he doesn't care at all. Now, Paladin went to Chinatown to see if Mr. Negative was the one behind all of the killing and framing of the hand, since Chinatown is technically owned by Mr. Negative, so it makes sense for him to come here. But that is when you have the hand appear to begin to fight against Paladin. But while the two sides are fighting against each other, well, the hand mentioned that Paladin is digging into the hand's problem, something they are trying to fix. Meaning that they know they are being framed, and now Paladin knows they are being framed. And you have Shroud come in and save Paladin, but you have Paladin tell Shroud that him and the ladies, Misty Knight and Silver Sable, have concluded that it must be Mr. Negative. With Silver Sable, she was able to contact someone to give her some information to see if there is a connection between all of the dead bodies besides them being bad people. Well, come to find out there is. We don't know what it is, but it makes Silver Sable run to tell Misty Knight. To close on the third chapter, we see someone go on to attack Misty Knight. We see her being attacked by some random men. Of course, this is them going after her because she's investigating all of the dead bodies, except something I may forgot to mention is that she is pregnant. So with her being beat up on, it is not just her life that could be in danger, but the baby as well. We then pick up with Misty Knight being in a hospital. With her being there, well, we come to find out after the beating, she is okay. You also have Iron Fist show up because that is his girlfriend and baby. So it is him showing concern for the woman he loves so dearly. Skipping through some panels, we then see Raphael leave after checking up on his old friend. But that is when you have the story reveal that we have a fake nurse in the room. The reason why I say there's a fake nurse is because we see that Silver Sable had once again pretended to be a nurse so she could get close to Misty Knight. Remember that she had found out something important that she thinks Misty Knight should see. So she gives Misty Knight some kind of file that shows Misty Knight what she expected is true, except of course, to keep our interest in the story, we don't get the chance to learn about what she is seeing. The next page, we see that Silver Sable has someone named Tyler call up someone to tell them about another target, possibly for whoever is behind this to go after. She then tells him to leave because things are going to pop off soon. Then we skip over to the group of ninjas who we have been seeing, but these guys, of course, are not part of the hand. They're the ones who have been going around killing people and blaming the hand. This is the moment we find out that Tyler, Silver Sable's friend, had given them a target of another bad person to kill. Once this group of ninjas get inside the place, when they think they have found their target and stab their target, well, they come to find out that the body in front of them is fake. and they come to find out they have been played by Misty Knight, Silver Sable, Paladin, and the Shroud. But we come to find out these ninjas have a Bronx accent. So of course, these guys are most definitely not part of the hand. There is a point where you have the story give us a quick fight scene between the two sides, except you have the fight stop because you have them reveal who is behind all of this. Of course, it is a bunch of police officers. One of those police officers who is in charge is Raphael, Misty Knight's cop friend. It makes sense if you follow all of the breadcrumbs left behind, except you have Raphael explain why he is doing all of this for. All about the idea that the people they have been killing are people who have done horrible things and they keep getting free out of the justice system. This is the moment you have Misty Knight tell Raphael and the rest of the cops to turn themselves in, but of course they are like, no. All of the evidence points to Daredevil and the Hand. Also, who's going to believe a bunch of low-level heroes and mercenaries over the cops? Except that is the moment you have the Hand bust in because they're upset with the fact Raphael and his group of cops went around killing people in their name. So of course, they came here to kill the cops, but the heroes are not going to allow that to happen in front of them. So we do get a bunch of fight things happening in the next few pages of this book. Honestly, it is nice to see the heroes take on the Hand and also take on the dirty cops. This is probably one of the few times I actually like Paladin or I like Shroud in a comic book. The ladies, I have liked them a lot of other times, but the other two usually I don't. Either way, the fight ends with the heroes being able to beat the cops and the Hand, except then Misty Knight gets taken at gunpoint. This is how the book ends, with Misty Knight being taken at gunpoint by her friend Raphael, where he thinks that he is going to be able to walk away free, except when he gets outside, he is surrounded by a bunch of cops. The reason why is because Misty Knight was smart enough to call up Ben Urich. I think at this point, he is no longer working at the Daily Bugle. He has his own company now. But Ben Urich is known for writing big news that expose a bunch of bad people. So of course, Raphael has no choice here but to give up, but he doesn't. So Misty Knight has to use her hand to break free and take him down. And the book kind of ends right there. And honestly, I like this tie-in. Tell you the truth, this is probably the best tie-in of all Shadowland. Like Shadowland, the main story was interesting, but the tie-ins, literally most of the tie-ins were trash. Except this one and like the Daredevil books tie-ins as well. But anyways, this is where So the story is about Colleen Wing. Now, this makes sense because back in the early days of Marvel Comics, Colleen Wing and Misty Knight were close friends. So if Misty Knight got a book in the middle of this event, it makes sense for Colleen Wing to get one as well. Now, Colleen Wing tells us in the beginning of this book that her grandfather had trained her to be a samurai, but she then became a hero for hire. That is the name of a group of heroes that have been used by a lot of Marvel characters who were heroes for hire. Luke Cage and Iron Fist were the first two, but other heroes had the name too. Now, in the beginning of this book, we see her attacking some shady business. In the front, it seems like a normal office, but in the back, a bunch of women who were brought here from other countries as slaves and being forced to work for evil men. The cops can't do anything because they don't have a warrant. But for Colleen Wing, she does not need one. So she goes in there and starts cutting up people left and right. Except when she's about to go in there to find the proof she needs to prove that the women are being held here as slaves, she is stopped by cops because they got word what she was going to do. That is because she is a vigilante. And since these guys had labeled this place as a business, she does not have the right to attack the place. So the cops made her stop attacking the place and send her back home. We then pick up with Colleen Wing, who is watching the news about how Daredevil had set up shop in Hell's Kitchen and turned it into Shadowland. She agrees with what Daredevil has done because she hears the news about how the crime rate has been going down rapidly, and that is a good thing to her because just a moment ago, she wanted to help the cops and they wouldn't do anything. Either way, one of her neighbors from the apartment down the hall, Tig, yes, her name is Tig, she comes by to tell Colleen Wing that she got a job with a councilman named Shake, and she wants to celebrate, and they do. Later that night, while Colleen Wing was asleep, of course, she begins to hear footsteps in her home, wondering who in the world is in her apartment. Of course, it was the Hand. So when she goes into her bathroom, they left her a message that came from Daredevil since the Hand is under his control. The message says that Daredevil knows something about her mother, which is something that she always wanted to know about. So in the morning that day, she sees the news about Daredevil again. And also she thinks back to Shadowland number 2. When a bunch of heroes and her had gone to talk to Daredevil to turn him good but failed. She still believes what he is doing is right. Except while she is heading toward Shadowland to tell Daredevil that she will join his side, she is confronted by Misty Knight to remind us that at this point, these two are no longer friends. Reason why is because when the two of them were heroes for hire, they had betrayed some good, honest people. It was all Misty Knight's fault, and it made Colleen Wing mad. Now, Misty Knight knows Daredevil had asked to see Colleen Wing because while this book is going on, Shadowland Blood on the Streets is happening at the same time, and right before it as well, because Misty Knight mentions that Shroud is her partner and saw the Hand leaving Colleen Wing's apartment. Colleen tells Misty Knight, don't follow her, and Colleen leaves. So Colleen Wing does go to Shadowland, and when she gets there, well, that begins the process of the Hand coming out to attack her because they think that she is attacking the place. Except, of course, this will not last long. It will last long enough to show us Colleen Wing to fight against the Hand and kill some of these ninjas real quickly. Then you have the White Tiger come by to tell everyone to stop because she knows that Daredevil was expecting her, so Colleen Wing goes inside. That is when you have Daredevil tell Colleen Wing that her mother was trained by her grandfather, which makes sense, except instead, Colleen Wing's mother was also working for the Japanese government. She then joined the Hand. Something that was in her blood was very important to the Hand. We don't learn what, but we learn that she led a team of women in the Hand known as the Nail. The Nail was a group of women who are like top-notch warriors of the Hand that took care of a lot of different things for the Hand. Daredevil then proceeds to ask Colleen Wing to lead the new formation of the Nail, telling her that she can go after evil men like the ones she battled with earlier and actually stop them. This is where we sit down and cover who is going to be part of the new version of the Nail that's being led by Colleen Wing, starting with Macro, who is basically an assassin, female Dr. Octopus. Apparently Daredevil had freed her from some kind of lab that was holding her. Then we move on to Yuki. She's the one wearing all of the Japanese makeup and taking out the guards. She has the ability to hypnotize her enemies, and then we meet Cherry Blossom, just a young 17-year-old girl with, of course, red hair. But finally, we meet Black Lotus, who is basically the second best assassin on the team, but does not follow orders. We see them on their first mission, freeing some women who are, of course, being held as slaves for different reasons. Of course, after that, we do see Colleen Wing meet up with Daredevil when she tells him how the team was not her choice. Everyone who's on this team is someone Daredevil had picked, but the reason why he did that is because they're all descendants of the original team the Hand had years ago. Daredevil tells Colleen Wing that he will make sure they follow her orders because he rules over everything. She is upset how they don't really follow her orders. So we see the Nail going on their next mission, which is them going back to the business that was holding those slaves we saw in the beginning of this video. Now, this is Colleen Wing feeling happy because she is being able to finish something that she was trying to achieve early on. Except while they are saving the slaves and killing all those bad men, well, Black Lotus has set bombs. And this makes Colleen Wing angry because what if the bombs have gone off before they were able to get everyone out? So again, going back to the idea that no one on the team is really following orders or her rules either. So when they all get back to Colleen Wing's home, that is when Colleen Wing brings Black Lotus over to have a conversation about everything she did wrong, mainly the bomb incident. But of course, to Black Lotus, she thinks that what she did was something amazing to do and something that had to be done. Except their argument is stopped when you have White Tiger come by to Colleen Wing, that they have found the leader of the slave ring. Come to find out, it is Councilman Shake, the same one Colleen Wing's friend Tig got a job at. So Colleen Wing wants to gather more information before they go, but of course, all of the Nail leave to stop Councilman Shake. So you have Colleen Wing and the Nail go to the convoy that is transporting Councilman Shake to whatever event he has to go to. This, of course, is going to be a huge battle in the streets now. At first, they do go after the wrong vehicle, which is the limo, thinking that he'll be hiding in that limo, but of course, he was in the van that was following behind the limo, so they now have to catch up to the van, which they do. They're able to grab him, except there were points that the Nail did not care for other people around their battle scene since they almost crashed a school bus into the wall as they were trying to grab Councilman Shake. After that, you have Colleen Wing coming back to the Shadowland Fortress and talking to Daredevil, how he is happy with everything Colleen Wing and the Nail has done so far, and also happy that she has joined his side. Except Colleen Wing gets upset when she goes back to the rest of the Nail group to find out from Cherry Blossom that all of the staff workers for Councilman Shake are being held to be interrogated because maybe they know something about Councilman Shake and the slave ring. Of course, this means Colleen Wing's friend Tig, who just got a job there only a couple days ago. When Colleen Wing makes it into the dungeon of the Shadowland Fortress, well, she does find Tig, where you have Colleen Wing leave, but she knows that she has to save her friend because the Hand and the Nail may think Tig knows something, but she doesn't. So to end the second chapter of this book, we see Colleen Wing leaving her apartment early in the morning so that she can sneak into the base of the fortress to hopefully save her friend. Except after Colleen Wing sneaks her way through all of the guards to get to the cage that was holding Tig, she comes to find out that Tig is not there when Colleen Wing gets her throat cut by none other than Black Lotus. So of course, the Nail is now portraying their boss, Colleen Wing. So of course, we then get a battle between Colleen Wing against her old team that she only had for a couple of days. Either way, you have Colleen Wing having a hard time trying to fight against her old team. One, she is dealing with a wound, and two, well, she is outnumbered here with them having 4 to her 1. It is Colleen Wing realizing that she is going to lose this match. Now, Black Lotus wants to go ahead and kill her off, but Cherry Blossom stops Black Lotus because she says if they kill Colleen Wing without any proof that she has betrayed Daredevil, it will look bad on them. So why not take her to their boss? Except we learn that Cherry Blossom was on Colleen Wing's side this whole time and not on Black Lotus. It's Cherry Blossom telling Colleen Wing, to make it look like that Cherry Blossom is unable to take Colleen Wing so that she can escape, which she does. Now Colleen Wing is an enemy of the Hand now. The next page, it is Black Lotus coming to Daredevil as he's interrogating Councilman Shake to see how Shake is getting his slaves. Black Lotus tells Daredevil about Colleen Wing escaping, but Daredevil is confident that she'll be able to get captured again because he thinks Colleen Wing will come back soon. We see Colleen Wing go to Misty Knight since she's the only person she can go to for help at the moment. Even though the two of them are at odds at the moment. She has no choice here really. But while that is going on, you have Black Lotus going to the rest of the Nail asking them to help her as their leader. She promised that she'll be able to protect them and be able to make them look great in their Lord eyes. Of course, that Lord would be Daredevil. You then have each member of the team agree to work with Black Lotus and Cherry Blossom saying yes so that they won't attack her at all, letting us know that they know she helped Colleen Wing get away. Now getting back to Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, this scene is more of the two of them kind of realizing that the two of them should be friends again. Also, this is the moment Colleen Wing realizes that she was being played by Daredevil because Master Izo told them that Daredevil has been taken over by the demonic being known as the Beast. She should have listened to him, but because Daredevil had information about her mother, something she always wanted to learn about, but she realized that she needed to go back and save her friend Tig. Which leads us into the last moment of this book. Well, the second to last moment of this book. You have Colleen Wing trying to sneak into the base of Shadowland, but of course she is caught by Black Lotus in the Nail. Now you would expect this to be another battle between the two sides. The Nail attacks her all at once. But you have Black Lotus ask Colleen Wing to do some kind of duel to see who should be the true leader of the Nail, or to see who is the better warrior. This battle does go on for a while and becomes a bloody one, except at the end of the battle, you have Black Lotus lose to Colleen Wing. Colleen Wing was able to walk out of the Shadowland Fortress thanks to Cherry Blossom and Tig. But this is where at the opening of the 4th issue of the main storyline, we pick up with Elektra in one of the secret tunnels of the Shadowland Fortress. Remember that Elektra had joined Daredevil in the hand side as an undercover person for the heroes who are trying to turn Daredevil good. We then see her beginning to kill off these members of the hand that was with her. There is a good reason why she is doing this. Because once she is done with killing everyone that was with her, well, that is when she opens up a tunnel door for some of the characters that are part of the whole Shadowland event. Some of the same heroes are back here again, like Spider-Man, the Punisher, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Master Izo, and Shang-Chi. Now, out of nowhere, we get Wolverine in this event now. The reason why he is here is because he has some connections to the hand and wants to stop the hand before things get out of hand. No pun intended there. To me, this is Marvel adding him in, hoping it would boost the sales for these last few books of the Shadowland event. We then get to Kingpin, who is right now watching the Shadowland area, which used to be known as Hell's Kitchen burning. Something we talked about in an earlier video, the longer Daredevil is being controlled by the demonic being known as the Beast, the crazier the people of the city get. And right now, the city is burning down. Now, Lady Bullseye is there too, but she was, I think, originally supposed to be a bigger character in this event, and now she is kind of like a Kingpin assassin. Either way, you have them leave because to Kingpin, it is almost time for the endgame of his big move. Soon, he will get what he has been trying to get. We don't know what that is yet, but we know it is coming soon. Getting back to the heroes, we see them discussing what is going on at the moment. Well, making a game plan. Since Daredevil is getting stronger by the Beast, every single second. That means sooner or later, he could become too strong to kill. But also, this is the moment you have Elektra tell the gang that Daredevil is planning on bringing back Bullseye. Remember that he was killed by Daredevil back in Shadowland #1. But Daredevil is planning to bring him back to have Bullseye help the hand out, just building up an army of people. So now the heroes know they have to hurry and stop Daredevil before things get out of hand. Sadly, they have got out of hand already. So we pick up at the ritual that will bring back Bullseye to life. So of course, we know what's going to happen next. Elektra does appear and she begins the process of being a distraction. Also, some of the other heroes are there too. Again, they are also a distraction. The reason why is because remember, the heroes went straight to killing Daredevil as their big plan. So of course, you have Wolverine coming out of nowhere and stabbing Daredevil right in the chest, letting us know that he was serious when it came to killing off Daredevil. Except here comes the big problem. Daredevil doesn't die. He actually survives the whole thing. Wolverine is looking confused, but this shows that when it comes to the demonic being known as the Beast, it has taken over the body of Daredevil. So right now the heroes are going to need a new plan if they plan on actually stopping Daredevil today. But with Daredevil not dying, of course, that leads into a huge big brawl between the two sides in the Shadowland Fortress. Honestly, the heroes should have the edge on Daredevil since there are more of them fighting at the moment. I mean, Daredevil does have the hand, but these are just low-level grunts helping him out. Daredevil does have Typhoid Mary, the pyrokinesis, except again, she can't do much either. So right now, it seems like the heroes should win this battle. But to wrap up this book and to wrap up this story, well, we see that Daredevil is at the point where he is going to be too much for the heroes. The reason why I say that is because when all of the heroes try to jump on Daredevil to hold him down, except he is too powerful and throws all of the heroes off of him. And we can see that the demon has completely taken over his body. It now means the heroes need to find some kind of way to stop Daredevil. Except we see that the Beast has now completely taken over the body of Daredevil. And this is So in the beginning of this book, we get reminded of what is happening at the moment in the Shadowland event, that the longer Daredevil is affected by the demonic being known as the Beast, the crazier the people in the city become. And we open up with J. Jonah Jameson, who is the mayor of the city. He tells the police to begin crowd control. And of course, it is to show that, hey, everything is beginning to fall apart now. Well, I mean, they already had, but of course, now the city is on fire, and we have seen this in our earlier videos. But with this being the main Daredevil series that is a tie-in to the main Shadowland storyline, we focus on the supporting characters of the Daredevil books around this time. We see Dakota North, who was this private investigator. The last time we saw her, she was trying to leave the city with Foggy Nelson. The car crashed and she is trapped in this mayhem crowd now, and she is able to beat everyone down so she can leave the crowd. We switch over to Detective Klutz, who was this cop buddy to Daredevil that was introduced in the Ed Brubaker's run, and he is out there trying to be the good cop the best he can. Of course, he runs into Dakota North. He tells her how bad things have gotten in the city. Like there have been different forces trying to help out, but of course, they all have failed. One of them is Hammer, the organization that had temporarily replaced S.H.I.E.L.D. around this time. Now, she mentions that she lost Foggy Nelson and she's afraid that he might do something stupid. She is right, and you will see here in a minute. But then she remembers Becky Blake, a character we have not seen in a good period of time because of the story of Shadowland. So Becky Blake was this other lawyer that had joined Matt Murdock in Foggy Nelson's law firm. She is wheelchair bound, but of course, with the city going crazy, it is Dakota North trying to get to her friend to save her. It leads to Becky realizing that she needs to leave the building because the building is on fire. The only way down is the stairway, but she is wheelchair bound, so it makes things even harder for her now. Now remember how Dakota North was scared that Foggy Nelson might do something stupid? Well, she wasn't wrong, because we pick up with him actually heading towards the Shadowland Fortress. Foggy blames himself for this, that Daredevil turning evil and joining the Hand. So his plan is to go there and talk to his best friend because he believes that maybe he can convince Daredevil to turn good again. So we actually see Foggy Nelson climbing up the fortress to get inside to tell you that this man is committed to saving his best friend because he believes that he can save him and everything is going to get better once he does it. Honestly, this makes me hate Foggy Nelson a tad bit. But we do jump back over to Becky Blake, who is trying her best to find a way downstairs while this building is on fire. Of course, she is struggling because of many reasons, so it seems that maybe she is going to die, and that's going to be the end of her life. Except, of course, she is saved by Dakota North, who comes in by some different fire escape, so we're able to wrap up this problem really in 4 pages of this chapter of the event. Getting back to Foggy Nelson, who is sneaking around the Shadowland Fortress area, he is able to get inside, which remember, this man was able to climb a building and find a way in. Honestly, really impressive for Foggy Nelson. But once he's inside and trying to catch his breath, well, that is when he is confronted by White Tiger, and she is going to take him to see Daredevil. Now remember, in Shadowland number 4, the heroes who have been trying to change Daredevil back into a good guy, they all went back there and actually fought him, but they lost, since he has been taken over by the Beast completely. He was able to wipe out all of the heroes, so it does seem to be the end for everyone close to Daredevil, and this man has his best friend in the room, where this is the moment you have Daredevil say that he plans on killing Foggy Nelson, leaving us on a big cliffhanger for the book, and picking up with Shadowland number 5 next video. So this So the final chapter of the main series for the Shadowland event is not the last chapter of this event. There were 2 more tie-ins for this series, but we pick up with the reminder how crazy the city is thanks to Daredevil being affected by the demonic being known as the Beast. The more the Beast is in control, the crazier the city gets. So we have J. Jonah Jameson wishing the Avengers step in and stop this. Now in our last video, Foggy Nelson has snuck into the base of Daredevil and the Hand to hopefully save his best friend Daredevil. Now in this book, we get told that he was saved at the last second by Ghost Rider. We did not see Ghost Rider saving Foggy Nelson from falling off the building in our last video. There is a reason why we are adding this in now, because we get a cool scene here in a minute, but yeah, Ghost Rider is back in the book now. Finally focusing on Daredevil, who has been taken over by the Beast, we see Daredevil has already beaten the heroes, except there is one more hero left who may be able to stop Daredevil. Of course, that person is Ghost Rider. The spirit of vengeance is here to stop Daredevil. With the demonic being known as the Beast being in the body of Daredevil, maybe only Ghost Rider can do it, except Daredevil is able to beat the living crap out of this man. Ghost Rider hasn't been seen since his one-shot tie-in book, Killing the Snake Root, the elite group of the Hand that was trying to control Daredevil. Ghost Rider did not stand a chance against Daredevil, and also Daredevil is able to absorb the Hellfire energy from Ghost Rider. So Ghost Rider is defeated, and that is it. We jump to the moment where we had left off in our last video, White Tiger had found Foggy Nelson walking around the fortress. Remember that Foggy came here hoping to talk to Daredevil to make him good again, except when he meets Daredevil, Daredevil is down to kill Foggy Nelson. Actually, this man is about to kill his best friend until you have Foggy Nelson cry out to his best friend. That begins the process of Daredevil and the Beast fighting over the body of Matt Murdock. Also gives the heroes a chance to finally win this battle. So out of nowhere, you have Iron Fist punch Daredevil with all of the chi energy that he had left. So you would think that this is going to be some big moment for Iron Fist to take out Daredevil in one powerful punch, except the energy Iron Fist used was really meant to heal Daredevil's mind, to give him the edge to fight the Beast, to also have him cry out for Elektra, the one woman he loves no matter what is going on in his life, and he is begging her to kill him. He knows that this is the only way for him to be free and to save everyone that is close to him. This is the moment where we get the set of pages that has Matt Murdock spiritually talking to his parents. If you are new to the comics of Daredevil, when it comes to Daredevil, his mother left him and his father to be a nun, and then his father continued to be a boxer, except Matt Murdock's father was killed when he did not throw a fight for his son. Either way, they are talking to him about how they are better off not being around him since he is so evil, or he has the devil inside of him. And it is hurting him mentally having to hear this from his parents. More his dad than his mom, since his mom wasn't around. It is all in his mind though. We learned that this is all in his mind because you then have Elektra come out of nowhere in his mind to talk to him, to tell him everything he is seeing is just the Beast, trying to use his parents to get to him. Except after she is able to tell him what is going on, she tells him it is time for him to be a man, that he needs to do the one thing only he can do to stop all of this and save his friends. Of course, that means taking a sword and stabbing himself in the chest, killing him. That was the only way for him to make sure that his friends will be okay and no one else is going to get hurt. Of course, this is the moment you have all of the heroes thinking that maybe they can save him still after he stabbed himself. Of course, Elektra tells them that he is gone and that was their plan, to kill this man. So it has to end that way. So it is the heroes realizing that they have won. The Hand and Daredevil are defeated, but also that the city is still burning out there. So now the only thing they have to do is to go out there and actually put the flames out. The people have stopped going out there being crazy, which is great. But then they realize that the body of Daredevil is missing, wondering where in the world did he go? And of course means he is somewhere else to deal with his mistakes. We did get this moment after everyone has left the fortress except Typhoid Mary, who was this villain that joined Daredevil's side in this event. She is someone who has multiple personality disorder. She is also a pyrokinetic, meaning that she is able to start fires with her mind. Well, we come to find out that this whole time, she was working for the Kingpin. Remember, that this whole event, Kingpin has been telling us he has some big plan in motion, and we had no idea what it was until now. That with Daredevil being defeated, the snake root being gone too, that it gives him the chance to now be in charge of Shadowland, the Hand, and everything. We learn this when he says some code phrase that unlocks a certain personality in Mary Typhoid to reveal she was just a secret agent of Kingpin. The book ends with us finally seeing Daredevil or Matt Murdock arriving at a church using a cane to help him walk. It is also the moment that says he is back at church looking for guidance, and the book ends on that moment right there. There is one more book after this actually, but we will see if I actually cover that one. But this is technically the end of Shadowland. Shadowland number 5, the final chapter of the main storyline. Oh my God, this event was interesting. With that being said, if you did like today's comic book story, please hit that like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video.